mentioned that you met some people at Cal, you met some people who were college dropouts, and you built a company with those 5 people, I believe, correct?
There was a total, it was actually even a bigger team, but initially it was the 5 of us, myself and 4 other guys. And we really didn't know each other. I mean, how it started was I kind of became this person that people knew as somebody that can help people build things.
Yeah.
I'm not the best programmer, not the best designer, not the best salesperson, but I had enough kind of broad skill sets and strategy and recruiting people that it was good enough that I got lots of inbound from people saying, hey, there's this person that wants to build XYZ. And because I had so many data points accumulated by the time I was a senior, I got to kind of pick and choose who I really wanted to work with. And so one of the folks I got introduced to, this guy named David, I got introduced to him from somebody I worked with at Goldman Sachs. I had an internship at Goldman. You're working with really smart people.
Yep.
And he was like, I met this guy in Hong Kong. He's like this turned down MIT, dropped out of college. He's building this really interesting company, but he's looking for a co-founder and a CEO. Do you want to chat with him? And this is, the first conversation I have with David. It was over Skype, and I think it was maybe 2 months before graduation. Then the week before graduation, he flies up from Los Angeles. We chat in our sorority, and I'm just talking with him for 45 minutes. I had actually already signed on board to be like employee number 1 for one of my engineering TA's companies that was like, went through YC, got angel funding. And so I was kind of already committed. But then after I talked with David, I was like, you know what? I think I really want to go and do my own thing and build my own thing. And at the end of the 45-minute conversation, I was like, I'm in. Let's go build this software company. And then he takes a Southwest flight where you get to pick where you sit. And so he sits down. This other young guy sits down next to him.
Stop it.
And they start talking. And so this other guy was like, hey, I'm Zach. I just finished my sophomore year at UCLA. I built 2 of the top 10 most downloaded education apps in the Mac App Store. David's like, okay, that's really cool. I'm building this digital signage software company, and I just found my co-founder and the CEO for the company. You want to join us? And Zach is like, yeah, why not? Let's go and do this. I don't really have many things planned for the summer. So yeah, I'll come and join you.
I love
on
that.
the plane. It doesn't end there. Zach goes home. He's at UCLA to his college roommate. They live in Westwood. And he's like, I'm going to drop out, I think, because I met this guy on the plane.
Wow.
He seems legit. I'm going to join this. And his college roommate, this guy named Alex, who is a computer science grad, who already had the full-time offer to go be an engineer at Cisco Systems. Alex is like, okay, man, you're crazy. I want to join too. That's how we got our initial group of people.
That is insane. First, there's so much to unpack there. There's this a mentor and a guy, it's a private equity group called Shore Capital, that talks about when you go build a company, before even building the company, go build your Fab Five with your basketball team. And we talk about the Fab Five as that was the most infamous team at University of Michigan in college. There were freshmen that went all the way to national champs almost 4 times in a row. And then you went and did that prior to starting this company. And I think what the audience should really appreciate is you had a very direct mission on building this company around an app. That was a signage app. And then you found your people first, and then you went all in on that idea. And you found them in a very unorthodox way. So when doing so, did you go and figure out the voids within the skill sets that you had to go find the right people? Obviously, you found them in a very unorthodox way, like I said, but usually when people go build companies, you're like, okay, I'm a coder today. I don't really have a finance background. I don't really have a tech background, whatever it may be. And you're trying to fill those voids. You as a CEO and the visionary, obviously you found them in a very unique way. How would you go back, 10 years ago and say, I'm going to go build a company with the right 5 people by plugging them in the right places? Like, how would someone want to go do that?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's being very deliberate and also being intellectually honest with yourself on what you can contribute and what you can deliver,
Yeah.
what your skill sets are, and then also who can you recruit. So for us, there was a little bit of luck there in that each of us actually had pretty different skill sets.
Wow.
And when we were building the company, we were building as 21, 22 years old. I was 21 at the time. It is really, really tough. There's so much you have to do. And I was grateful that we really had our lanes. I was going to be the fundraiser, the strategist, the person putting together the vision and the plan of
Okay.
what things needed to be. And then we had somebody who was the designer, who was just great at creating beautiful product. All the products I've worked with, whether it was the last company or at Blaze, it's very visual products. People are building applications that inherently you need to make sure it looks good.
For sure.
Not only easy to use, but looks good. So we had somebody who was great at doing that. And then, of course, you need the person to build it. You need that developer who is going to take the designs and turn it into reality. And we had another person that was a high school friend of David that joined us. We needed somebody who was just like that polymath hacker, could deal with all the different hardware and nuances. And so he was in charge of that and sourcing, at the time for the last company, we dealt with hardware. And he was just very scrappy in contacting lots of different vendors. I have to say, we did a partnership with NVIDIA. Really, like I should have bought that way more NVIDIA stock back in the day because they were so great. They kind of took this chance on a startup, doing the startup with this partnership with us back, I want to say 2015, and was really instrumental in actually helping us grow because they had great hardware that we put our software on top of. But it was these different folks contributing all their unique strengths into being able to make the company successful. And I want to be open and transparent in saying, yes, these were the original 5 people that started it. But I'm also grateful we had the agility, flexibility too, that there were folks that said, you know what, my skill set no longer is contributing to the company's growth. And so we actually had an evolution in the engineering team.